Welcome back to the Jake Asman Show. Time now for some quick hits.
We gotta move quickly.
There's no time.
Move fast there, come on!
And here we go on a Saturday installment of America's favorite sports talk radio segment. It is time for quick hits right here on the Jake Asman Show. Jake Asman with you, producer Brendan Riley at the controls, and off we go by hitting on a bunch of different stories that we normally would not spend a full segment breaking down, including this first story, which we definitely would not spend a full segment breaking down. And that is Logan Paul and his big fight against Floyd Mayweather tomorrow night in Miami on pay-per-view. Now, Logan Paul gets a chance to fight arguably the best boxer of all time. If you would have told someone that a couple of years ago, they probably would have thought you were nuts, but that's where we're at. And according to Logan Paul, not only is he going to get a chance to fight Floyd Mayweather, according to Mr. Paul, he's going to beat Floyd Mayweather.
Is there any way this fight is a success outside of you beating Floyd Mayweather?
I mean, me walking into the ring with Floyd is a success. Like, that's the beautiful thing about this. I already won. It's over. You lost, Floyd. You got finessed. And then imagine when I actually beat him.
Yeah, and it sounds like you are going in there. I don't think it's BS. You seem like you are going in there to win this fight. Do I read that correctly?
1,000%. You know, I was waiting for the guy in the black suit to approach me and be like, "Yo, we'll pay you $50 million to throw this fight. Like, we can't afford Floyd losing," or like some behind the scenes. But it never happened. You know, like this is me wanting it so badly. Like I don't even care about the money. I just want to beat Floyd Mayweather.
Well, I got to be honest. I hear that from Logan. He's kind of right. The fact that he even has Floyd Mayweather in the ring with him, and it's kind of a fugazi fight, right? There's no judges. There's no official winner. I mean, they're not wearing helmets, so I guess Floyd could essentially really hurt him and knock him out. But the fact that Floyd even has to stoop to this level where he's fighting a Paul brother, Logan's kind of right when he says he's already won. Like, if he wins, it's the greatest upset ever if he actually, injures Floyd. And if he gets knocked out, it's like, all right, well, yeah, Floyd's supposed to do that. He's one of the best boxers to ever do it. So it's kind of a win-win for Logan Paul either way.
I know it's not technically a win-win for Floyd Mayweather, but he's not going to lose this fight, right? I kind of look at it, to be honest with you, as a win-win for both guys.
Yeah, I mean, both guys get paid millions, so you kind of can look at it that way too.
The only way this is a lose for Floyd is if he somehow gets knocked out, which I don't buy as possible.
Honestly, even if Logan Paul lands like a clean shot at him and Floyd's still fine, that still is probably a lose for Floyd.
Can you imagine the rematch if Floyd got knocked out?
What? I mean, it's tough to take this seriously when there's no judges and a winner's not going to be, red. Like, the only way the fight could stop is if someone knocks out the other one. And who's more likely to do that, Logan or Floyd? You would think Floyd. Like, if Floyd has any pride, he puts Logan Paul on the mat.
You think?
I think he has to. He's the 50-0 boxer. He's got to be the one that knocks out Logan Paul.
I don't think it's happening. Nobody's getting knocked out.
You think
I don't even know if anyone gets knocked down.
Do you think there's an agreement? Like, we're just going to spar here. We're not going to try and hit one another.
I don't know, but I think that's more likely than anyone getting knocked out.
Wouldn't it be great if somehow Floyd got knocked out, though?
I think it'd be great if either one of them do. That makes this fun.
Yeah, I mean, see, Logan's fighting Floyd is kind of a joke. At least Jake Paul is fighting real dudes. Like, Ben Askren was a professional UFC fighter. Tyron Woodley, who he's fighting next, is a real striker at the UFC.
You consider that more real than Floyd?
I just don't think it's real when you don't have judges. It's 12-ounce gloves,
Yeah,
and it's 8 rounds. It's not real boxing. Like, Jake Paul's fights have been more real than what this is.
That's fair, but, I mean, this was never going to be a real fight because of the size difference, right? Like, that's my understanding. They could not have gotten this sanctioned.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know how the sanctions work, but I guess they're not going to sanction a fight where, Logan Paul's literally 6'2".
And he's 40 pounds heavier.
Yeah. I mean, it just shows you, if Floyd just dominates him, just how special Floyd is at his size. But, I mean, that's what should happen. He's 50-0. He's a boxer. He's Floyd Money Mayweather. I don't know. I will watch, though. Will I pay for it? Probably not. There's other ways to get around having to pay for this thing. I'll just throw that out there. But I will be intrigued and check this one out. I will be intrigued. Brendan, will you watch this at all?
I'll watch the highlights on Twitter. That's generally how I am with most big fights.
Have you paid for a pay-per-view before?
The only one I've ever paid for was actually
Mayweather-Pacquiao?
Yeah, Mayweather-Pacquiao.
And you probably left very disappointed like everyone else.
I didn't buy it by myself.
Oh, yeah, you get a group of people together, college apartment, I know.
But it was disappointing, no doubt. But for me, it was the fight that had been basically hyped up my whole childhood because it took so long to happen.
Yeah, and that was the problem. By the time it did happen, you had Pacquiao, who wasn't in his prime when he got the fight Floyd. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Anyhow, Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather, tomorrow night in Miami, pay-per-view. We'll break it all down for you, I'm sure, throughout the next couple days on our network. Maybe not, but I will talk about it on my Monday show. We'll see what happens there. Anyhow, let's talk some baseball, shall we? Will Major League Baseball crack down on MLB pitchers using substances to doctor up the baseball and, cheat the game? Because that's what that is. That is technically cheating, even though no one really seems to have cared for years. Maybe baseball will do something. Well, for Nick Castellanos of the Cincinnati Reds, he told Chris Rose on the Chris Rose Rotation podcast that Major League Baseball has turned a blind eye allowing pitchers to cheat.
They don't care, because if it was really a problem that they wanted, they would figure out how to, they'd put people in the bullpen to check gloves, to check hats, to whatever, the league would do something about it. But honestly, I don't think it's that much I don't think it's that important to them,
Should it be, Nick?
Listen, if I truly start speaking my mind, I usually get in trouble, but it's just the league has to figure out if it wants it to be illegal or not and stick by it.
I think all that's fair. The fact that this has gone on for as long as it has, I think is a big mistake by baseball because now the offensive numbers have never been lower around the sport. And a lot of it is because these guys are using substances that increase spin rate on the ball, making it that much harder to hit. So I think baseball should crack down on this. And just before we were going to do this segment, I was catching up on Buster Only's Twitter account, and he tweeted the following, just filed to ESPN. Under the plan being swiftly advanced through MLB, umpires will be repeatedly and randomly checking pitchers for foreign substances in a push that could begin within 2 weeks. Estimates are there could be 8 to 10 checks per game as pitchers depart games. One of the really interesting details, MLB has essentially built specific foreign substance scouting reports on pitchers throughout the sport using video, some sent in by opposing players, such as on his belt, left side, one penalty being discussed, 10 days without pay. So baseball, it appears, is finally going to do something about pitchers using rosin and sunscreen and whatever else they're using to doctor up the baseball and cheat the game.
So we're going to see an entirely different league the rest of the year,
Maybe.
you would imagine.
I mean, I would assume this would stop pitchers from trying to do it because the embarrassment of getting caught would be really bad. And then if you're talking about 10 days without pay, that's a pretty significant punishment for baseball players.
Somebody's going to get caught. I think you're right. It'll mostly stop guys. Somebody's going to get caught. What's always bothered me is baseball has the unwritten rules that people get mad when you don't follow. But they have actual rules that they ignore.
Yes. The irony there is puzzling. I've always felt like, if the players don't care, fine. But I think the hitters care, but they don't want to speak out because if they speak out, there's probably guys on their own team that are doing it, and it affects them.
An interesting dynamic in that way.
Castellanos can't truly tell you how he feels because there's probably dudes on the Reds that are doing the same thing.
And he probably knows it.
Right.
And then you're stuck in this tough situation where, if everybody's doing it, I want my guy to do it.
The random checks of pitchers could happen as the pitcher leaves the mound from an inning or outing, perhaps reducing the potential impact on pace of play. Because that's the other thing. Are we randomly going to just start checking guys in the middle of innings? Because that will really slow down the pace of play.
There's so much downtime in baseball as it is. It should not cause issues.
I just want the game to be cleaned up, and there needs to be more offense. They tried to dent in the ball because they thought, the home run's becoming boring when everyone's just hitting them. Well, by denting the ball, they thought there'd be more singles and doubles. Instead, there's just more strikeouts and pitchers dominating, and we have a no-hitter every night, it feels like.
It's too bad we can't just, expand every park.
Just make the dimensions bigger.
Just push the walls out. If guys are hitting more home runs, make it harder to hit home runs.
Well, then you'd have more triples if you did that.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Well, I would argue the triple and the inside the park home run, maybe the two most exciting plays in baseball.
It's not plausible, but I actually think it would be a really fun solution.
It would be. But as you said, it is not plausible. But it would be fun. You're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. Let's talk some basketball now, shall we? LeBron James has been eliminated in the first round for the first time in his career after the Suns beat the Lakers 2 nights ago in Game 6. So LeBron was asked, what will you be doing now this offseason? The answer, maybe nothing.
I got an opportunity to rest. We got like 3 months to recalibrate, get my ankle back to 100% where it was before that Atlanta game. And, that's the most important thing for me. Everything else feels extremely well. My ankle was the only thing that was kind of bothering me. Well, obviously bothered me in the later stage of the season. And never fully got back to before the injury.
Is LeBron's ankle truly injured, or is LeBron just making an excuse for his team losing in the first round? Brendan Riley, your thoughts?
Man, I'm on team LeBron is the GOAT, but he does yuck up every last second of injury, I guess sympathy that he can.
I don't think there's ever been an all-time great that is more unlikable than LeBron. There are people that don't like him for his politics. I personally don't like him because, one, he has me blocked on Twitter for being soft. But two, just everything is about LeBron and the injuries, and he got poked in the eye and acted like his eyeball needed to be ripped out of his sockets. The guy is just so dramatic. He's very tough to root for.
I like LeBron, but
I like him as a player. I don't like his antics.
I do hear you. I don't know. I do think some of it is probably his ankle. He's probably selling it a little more than it is. I think some of it is just, he's 36 years old. Things are slowing down. That's what happens.
Look, I defended LeBron last hour, Brendan. I don't know if you heard it. I basically was like, the idea that LeBron's legacy takes a hit because he lost in the first round, it's nonsense. He's in his 18th year. He's at the longest prime in the history of any basketball player. It means nothing. Anything he does from this point on is just a cherry on top. He won a championship 8 months ago. Let's not forget that. So that was my point. I actually defended LeBron. But when I hear things like that and him talk about the ankles, LeBron, your leg doesn't need to be amputated. You had a sprained ankle. Let's relax a little bit.
One of these days, he's going to have a serious injury, and we're going to all think it's fake.
It's like the boy who cried wolf.
And then he's going to come out the next year and be playing on literally one leg.
Which he still probably would be a lot better than some players in the league on one leg, I will say. I will give LeBron that. Staying with the NBA, how about the other LA team? The Clippers defeated the Mavs last night, 104-97. So the series is now tied at 3 games apiece. Game 7 in LA. I wonder if the Clippers could just defer that game, by the way, to Dallas, because the road team has won every single game in this series. But last night in Game 6, Kawhi Leonard matched his playoff career high. He had 45 points. And Kawhi was asked after the game on what his mindset was entering that Game 6.
That's what I try to install within him to make sure that we keep fighting, don't give up. And, you never know what could happen. Just have faith and, play hard, have fun. That's all you can do.
Play hard, have fun. Does Kawhi Leonard look like a guy that's actually having fun when he ever plays?
There's not a better person in the league who could say have fun.
I mean, the irony of Kawhi Leonard telling us to have fun. Kawhi, no one's seen you smile.
Did you hear the way he said that?
Play hard, have fun.
He could have passed for Bill Belichick.
One time I asked Kawhi Leonard a clunky question in a postgame after the Rockets-Raptors game, and I got Kawhi'd so bad. It was awful. I was trying to say, Harden scored 34, and it was during that stretch where James Harden was scoring 50 a night. And I was like, do you guys feel like you played decent defense on Harden, even though he had 34, but, obviously it wasn't fit. I tried to word it like that, and it was just a clunky question. And he looked at me, he's like, no. And I was like, damn it. That was a bad job by me. So Kawhi got me there, and I didn't even blame him. It was a bad question. But, the guy is just, even, away from, the cameras being on him, he's just a robot. He doesn't say anything.
When his career is over, you will never hear from him again, right?
Probably not.
I mean,
What
never.
is Kawhi Leonard even, passionate about? What does he like to do when he's not playing basketball?
Oh, what was the joke a couple years ago? Apples or bananas or something silly like that?
He eats bananas?
You don't remember what I'm talking about?
No.
There was a fake quote that was all over the internet about Kawhi and his love for some fruit.
Well, if you could find that, let me know.
I'll look for it. It went viral, I want to say, during the Raptors championship.
I don't remember this, but maybe I should. That sounds interesting. I'm like, play hard, have fun. Thanks, Kawhi. Luka Doncic weighed in. This was Luka on Kawhi Leonard dominating his team.
I mean, he destroyed us. That's what it is. He had a hell of a game. And that's what, he does.
Short and sweet. He destroyed us. Yes. Game 7 tomorrow night, though. Will Luka destroy Kawhi? Well, Luka's going on the road, which seems to translate to the road team winning. I don't know, though. This series is so random. I have no idea who wins tomorrow night. I will be watching and just rooting for a good game, I guess. I mean, as a Knicks fan, I guess I root for the Mavs because I'd like to see Kawhi lose in the first round and maybe think about opting out and, dare I say, coming to New York. But, I mean, come on. I have no idea how that series is going to play out.
I thought this Clippers team was going to be so good. And they just, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen either. Either way, I don't know that they should have struggled the way they have with this series.
Definitely not. I mean, the Mavs literally just have Luka and like Tim Hardaway Jr. I mean, Porzingis has given them nothing. He's been awful. My God. That wraps it up for Quick Hits here on a Saturday installment of America's favorite sports talk radio segment. Coming up next, let's talk about Duke and Coach K. Coach K announced that he's stepping down after the year, and John Shire is now the coach in waiting. Let's talk about Coach K's retirement, what it all means for the sport of college basketball next here on the Jake Asman Show.
Sports Map all night.
This deal is going to pay Dak $75 million